Everybody has a intuitive understanding of what it means to make decisions today, in the past, at any point of time. But what I just really want to make sure is that we start all from the same fundamental understanding of what it means to make decisions today, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence as one of the most important changing technologies. I'm going to try to provide a few insights on this, and then we're going to move on to the formalization of what decision making actually means. So what it means to make proper and improper decisions. But first things first, decision making, decision science is a very complex subject to discuss and to study. Whenever I'm faced with a hard subject, I always like to have guiding principles. I don't want to get too philosophical on this, but I just really want to show you what's going to be my mindset as we discuss some of the complex topics within the course that we're going to have. I always like to picture first, before anything else, a very simple circle. You might remember, like from high school or even college, that a circle has two very important, let's say, attributes: the diameter and the circumference, the perimeter. And you might remember that pi is a very interesting construct. It's essentially just a ratio that represents the circumference over the diameter whenever the diameter is equal to 1. So we essentially have this ratio that in some sense leads to a very interesting number, which is an irrational number, a 3.14x, irrational number that nobody has ever managed to get to the end to, well, by definition of the fact that it's an irrational number. And what I love about this mental picture of pi and circles in general is that, well, it's going to be very useful to try to explain the mentality, to try to explain the mindset that I'm going to have for this course. The kind of like the duality, the let's say paradox of pi, which essentially represents, with the same concept, with just one concept, one constant, what we call pi, the representation of what I call conceptual infinity. You can see that pi is a irrational number, so we're never going to get, well, I mean, theoretically, we're never going to get to the end of pi. We're never going to be able to compute every decimal of pi. It's a conceptual infinity that's embedded in the number of pi. But pi also represents what I call a bounded pragmatism, right? At the end of the day, when you look at the circle here, you see that the circle is closed. You see that it's literally impossible for this circle to have an infinite amount of numbers. It must be bounded in some sense. It must be closed. That's exactly the mindset that I want to have for this course on decision science. Decisions have limitless impact. They lead to chaos, they lead to chains of reaction of variables that are correlated, and they have virtually no limit to the, let's say, the consequences that decisions generate. But what you also have from decisions is real impact. It's real, measurable, tangible impact that you should be able to extract from the situation at hand, so that you can figure out what is a good, what is a bad decision. And that is exactly what I want to do in this course. I want to be able to acknowledge the complexity and the infinity of the consequences that we are going to face by taking decisions. But I really want to make sure that when we talk about decision science, when we get into cognitive biases, and when we kind of like try to wrap it up all together with practical tools, we really focus on decision making, on decision science, from the perspective of bounded pragmatism, from the hard, measurable science that we can get into it.